If you're looking for your dose of what's going on in real estate news lately, then you've come to the right place because we have had some great headlines come up this past week. From the Nightmare on Elm Street home recently selling for almost $3 million to a $500 million Italian villa full of rare art not selling at auction, it really never ceases to amaze me how much activity there always is in the real estate world. For today's video, I've handpicked some of my favorite recent real estate headlines, and we're going to run through the list together. If you're new around here, my name is Scott. I'm a real estate developer myself out of Arizona, so here on my channel, we talk all things real estate. First in the news today, we've got a Los Angeles home featured in the 1984 horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street, which just sold for $2.8 million, just a hair less than what the seller was asking for. So this is actually a pretty iconic home because A Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the most successful horror franchises of all time. Now, for any of you movie buffs out there, you might remember the setting of this movie to be in Springwood, Ohio, with the home on 1428 Elm Street being one of the focal points of the movie. I'm not going to get into the movie details because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who maybe hasn't seen it before, but I will say that Springwood, Ohio is a totally fictional place that doesn't exist in real life. The real Nightmare on Elm Street house was not surprisingly based in Los Angeles, California, and it's pretty cool because when you type in the fake address from the movie, 1428 Elm Street, into Google Earth, it will actually take you to the house in California. According to Zillow, the specs on this place are that it has 3 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 2,700 square feet of interior living space, and it's sitting on a small 6,700 square foot lot. I found some photos of the inside of the home on the Fox Business webpage. This traditional home was built in 1919, but apparently it was reimagined by an English designer back in the mid-2000s. It's got walnut floors throughout, cool circular archways connecting the main living spaces, a retro eat-in kitchen with orange countertops, and out back there's a pool and a guest house. Some of the marketing photos, of course, include pictures of Freddy Krueger. This is the fictional serial killer character from the movie Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not sure that these pictures would convince me to want to put an offer in on this house though. Kind of freaky. Sometimes homes like this that have this historical significance end up selling for a premium because there's some diehard fans out there who just have to have them. But poking around Zillow and looking at similar homes for sale in this immediate area, it seems like the price point of around $3 million is about fair for this house. I think that the biggest downside of owning a house like this one, especially if you plan to live there full time, is that it is no secret that this is the famous house from the movie. When you Google search the address, the house actually shows up almost like a place of business with a bunch of Google reviews talking about how cool it is to see the place in person. And people even sometimes post the selfie pictures that they took in front of the house. If you're a diehard fan of the movie series, you love the neighborhood, and you have deep enough pockets to be able to afford this house, sure, it would be pretty cool to be the buyer. But at the same time, I think that it would also be kind of annoying to have people constantly driving by your house and taking pictures of the front of your home. In other news, Barstool founder Dave Portnoy just dropped almost $10 million on a beach house in the Hamptons. Now, first of all, if you don't know who Dave Portnoy is, his life story can be summed up like this. Dave is a 44-year-old internet celebrity whose claim to fame and net worth can be primarily contributed to his founding of a media company, Barstool Sports, back in 2003. Barstool Sports is basically a news outlet that produces written, audio, and video content mainly themed around sports and pop culture. The company makes most of its money from advertisements, subscription services, merch sales, and online sports betting. While Dave Portnoy did found the company, he has since sold off the majority of his shares, and now he only owns about a 28% stake. The success of Barstool Sports, along with a bunch of other vendors that Portnoy has been involved in, has made him be kind of an internet celebrity, and his net worth has grown to around $80 million according to most sources. Now, I did some serious digging, and somehow Dave and his team has been able to keep the actual address of where he bought on this house completely private, which is surprising because I'm usually able to dig up at least the address, if not some photos. We know it was an off-market listing, and the brokers Matt Breitenbach and Grave Gold represented both sides of the deal, but unfortunately, both of them declined to comment with more information. The Hamptons is a really fascinating pocket when it comes to real estate because some of the most expensive sales in the world come from this little strip of land. If you're not familiar with the area, it's basically just this little sliver of land along the ocean just east of New York City. I sorted Zillow to show what has sold around here in the past 30 days, and there's 78 results. Quite a few of these are right around around what Portnoy paid for his place, but you can see here that none of these are for the $9.75 million price that he reportedly paid. Anyways, this is not the only piece of luxury real estate that Dave has recently bought. Just 8 months ago, he scooped up 5811 North Bayshore Drive in Miami for almost $14 million. That's about $2 million more than what the seller was asking, and it smashed records for this waterfront community, with the last recorded sale here being only $8.1 million. You guys know I'm all for real estate investing, and I'm a big believer of parking at least some of your net worth into properties, but it never ceases to amaze me just how much money is being spent on these monster homes with never-ending streams of maintenance, plus a ton of crazy overhead just with the taxes, insurance, and utilities. In other news, the most expensive home in Brooklyn hit the market the other day at the top of a brand new residential building for the price of $19.5 million. This penthouse is located in an area and in a building that has got a story in and of itself, but first, let's look at some photos of the apartment together. So like I said, we're priced at $19.5 million on this one. The unit has 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. It's got about 5,000 square feet inside, spread across the entire 32nd floor at this new development. It's got a big private 552 square foot terrace with these huge walls of windows that give you that indoor-outdoor feel. The city views are pretty incredible. The kitchen has this cool shaped island with inlaid stone and raked maple cabinetry. All of the bathrooms have a really clean, modern, and elegant style to them. I think the use of wood and stone in all these rooms just perfectly complement each other. And another cool feature here is that you have access to your unit via a private elevator, which obviously not all units in this building have. Next, we have to talk about the location that this building was built in, because the backstory is pretty fascinating. The Google Earth view doesn't give us the best visual because it must be a little outdated. The building isn't even built yet in this image. You can see here that 30 Front Street is sitting right next to the Brooklyn Bridge, just a short walk to Pebble Beach and East River, and like everywhere else in New York, is surrounded by other high-rise buildings. What's kind of fun and fascinating about this specific pocket of Brooklyn, though, is that it's in a neighborhood called the Dumbo neighborhood, which stands for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. It's a cool neighborhood that's filled with a bunch of art galleries, bookstores, and co-working spaces. And the story goes that the area was nicknamed Dumbo back in the early 1970s by the residents because they thought that a silly name like Dumbo would deter developers from coming in and spending money to develop the area. Well, that plan backfired because the nickname Dumbo actually fueled a trend of a lot of people wanting to move to the area, which led Dumbo to become now what is the most expensive part of Brooklyn. Anyways, the Olympia project, where this expensive penthouse is located, has a pretty interesting marketing play on this building. They say it's a project 235 years in the making, with 76 exceptionally crafted condos rising above historic Dumbo. The vision section of their page has a long history of Brooklyn, Olympia, and Dumbo dating all the way back to 1776. So they are really trying hard to get buyers to buy into the historical significance of this town, even though this brand new architecturally interesting steel and glass building is not historic at all. It's brand new 2022 construction. If you want a unit here, you definitely don't have to fork over $20 million. Prices start at just $1.775 million for their 780 square foot 1-bedroom units, and then they gradually go up in price from there as the unit size gets larger. All right, now we're on to the story of Villa Aurora, the 16th century 30,000 square foot residence that just hit the auction block this past week for $534 million. I can't imagine this home ever selling for $534 million or anywhere close to it, but if it does, that will make for the most expensive residential home sale known in history. This home was built in the year 1570, and if you didn't know what you were looking at, I think we all can agree that at first, this place and the grounds look like just a mess of unmaintained real estate. What's unique about this property, though, is it's actually not so much the property itself, but more the statues and the artwork that are associated with the estate. I guess somebody actually lives here. Her name is really hard to pronounce. It's Princess Rita Boncompagni Ludovici. And this home and its contents has been in the family for over 400 years, so it's actually pretty unique that it's available on the open market. All of this artwork and stuff that you're seeing in this video feed here is really special and rare from what I'm reading. There's a statue done by Michelangelo in here, there's work from Louis XIII, and there's a bunch of letters written by Marie Antoinette. In the marketing, it's kind of hilarious. So there's this professor, Corey Brennan, who studied the villa, and he said, There is more art to be discovered inside and on its extensive grounds. I guarantee the next owner there is going to be enormous discoveries. Can you imagine owning a home that has been in your family for 400 years and it is so full of art and collectibles that you don't even know what treasures are inside? If you're a billionaire who happens to be a lover of history, the Renaissance, and art, this really could be a fun passion project to keep you busy for the next 5 to 10 years. To me though, this really is the story of somebody who's selling a collection of collectibles more than they're selling a piece of real estate. They couldn't find a buyer at this auction this past week for this massive and unique villa, but it's going up for auction again on April 7th, so maybe they'll get a little more lucky the second time around. If you enjoyed the video today, guys, if you could hit that thumbs up button down below before you go, that really helps my channel out a lot. And I say it every time, but don't forget to hit subscribe as well if you like these videos about what's going on in the real estate world. I'm putting new videos out every week, and they're all themed around either current events in real estate, just like we talked about today. I do tours of real estate, which, spoiler alert, I have a very exciting luxury home tour coming up in just a couple of weeks. And sometimes I just do real estate investing stories and tips based on my own experience investing in real estate over the past 10 years. But anyways, whether you decide to subscribe or not, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. That's all I've got for you this time though. So until next time, see ya.